All right, so just checking out some of these Java games, jar file type games, and Castlevania, of course, was on here, and decided that was a good first one to check out. The buttons that it gives you through the emulator are just down at the bottom, and they kind of mirror the keypad from like an old Nokia phone or whatever type of phone. Um, but it puts like a number pad and then just an arrow pad next to it, and so I got a little confused in that it kept just doing the special weapon here instead of the whip because I was pushing the button on the little joypad portion of it. So that's why this I end up throwing a lot of axes and whatnot. And I was trying to figure out. Eventually, I figured out how to get back to the whip a little bit later in the video. And so yeah, so I played a while. I'm still confused here on the button scheme, as you can see. Uh, if I hold down the 5 button for a while, it was letting me do the whip, but again, in a minute, I eventually figured it out. And in the meantime, I just am throwing the little holy water special weapon at these zombie guys. So, and then yeah, by here I finally have figured it out. But Castlevania is a tricky game anyway when it comes to jumps and things, and it was a little bit harder with the buttons from this phone and figuring out how to go upstairs and things. So I don't progress too much further before I get to where I just can't figure out what to do next from a button scheme perspective, and end up dying when I get to like the water monster level. All right, and so that was it for Castlevania, and then the next one I tried out was Bomb Jack, and it's really small on the screen, and there's no background music. There's only sound when you die for some reason. And the next step was Arkanoid. Took me a little bit to figure out because sometimes it lets you do the touch screen. Sometimes you got to use the on-screen key buttons. The placement of the buttons, not to make an excuse, but the placement of the buttons, unless you're able to kind of like keep looking at them, my finger would keep slipping and it wouldn't be over the button. So obviously on an older phone, when you could actually feel the physical button, that would give you a little bit of an advantage, being able to keep your finger over the left and right or whatever button you need to push. So I just played through it a couple of times. I think I finally did beat round one on this particular playthrough of Arkanoid, but fun game. Again, the buttons leave you at a bit of a disadvantage playing on a touchscreen phone. Being able to feel kind of where the buttons are, and they're really cramped down. I've cropped this video down, but it was quite small. The actual imaging, of course, is small, and then the button area where you get to use the buttons is not very big either. Alright, so Crash Bandicoot was up next, and this is one where I started to get some weird, kind of anomalous type stuff that would happen on the screen. Couldn't figure out how to get it out of French, and then it just sort of, it's really small on the screen, it kind of duplicates itself, and like I said, there's some artifacts and things on it as well, so it's a little bit weird. So the only thing I did well on this one was figure out new ways to die. Again, buttons led to a less than ideal experience, but all in all, I mean, it was kind of cool just to see Crash Bandicoot, I guess. Anyway. pretty excited to see Ghosts and Goblins, a game that I play on, whenever I find a version of it, I usually check it out. So once I figured out how to jump forward, then I progressed a little bit further through this one. And every once in a while, I'll kind of fat finger it and hit the, pause or option button, so you see that pop up a couple of times. Ghosts and Goblins, it's a hard game on pretty much any way you play it, arcade, NES, SNES, and so on. So the phone version, no different, if not even more difficult because of the button scheme, but pretty cool to see it on there. Burger Time, another game I really like. This one is a little bit bigger on the screen, so you'll see a little bit of what I was talking about with the keypad here. Cropped it down to where you can only see a few of the numbers, but again, you could use kind of the arrow keys or the number keys. For the most part, they kind of accomplish the same thing. All right, and so then we're into the last game, and this is Crash Nitro Kart. Finally figure out where to put my face on here. Again, so when I record these videos, I use DU recorder, however you want to say it, from the App Store. And that lets me use the selfie camera and then record whatever's on my screen. And so this is another one where for some reason there was no sound throughout as I played it. Just kind of not even really any sound effects. And again, not to sound like a broken record, but yeah, as close together as what the buttons are made it a little bit tricky. At one point I did get into first place, but I think I ended up finishing last. So spoiler alert on that one. But again, kind of cool to get to see it. Obviously doesn't maximize much of your available screen space, but you know, I mean, phone screens weren't this big back when these games were all the rage, so it makes sense. And so that's pretty much it. As this video winds down about another 30 seconds or so. But it was the J2ME, J2Me loader emulator that I used, and then just kind of Googled around until I found some websites that would allow you to download a whole whack of files. And so that's, you know, I'm sure I'll check out some more in the days to come. But anyway, thanks for watching.